In the previous video, we have discussed the importance of categorizing the different types of media that we can find online and then can be used to communicate with your audience. But it is also very important to understand that those media do not exist in a vacuum, but that they can coexist together. The real power comes when you can integrate two or more channels together. And in this video, we will explain how this can happen and what new type of media is created when you integrate two types of media together. This is the model as defined by Lieb and Owyang in their report. They have taken the three different types of media that we have talked about in the previous video, but they have combined them together to create three new categories of media. So when you combine owned media and earned media together, you have what Lieb and Owyang have called brands that ask for share. Some other authors have made it easier and call it share media. It doesn't really matter which terminology you use. So, we've learned that earned media is what other people say about your brand on their own platforms. Owned media, on the other hand, is the online property that you control that is unique to your brand. So by combining these two, you're trying to create electronic word of mouth, but place it on your own channels. For example, Tesla has a lot of very happy customers, and the automobile company has asked them to create a video where they review the reasons why they love the car so much. This is earned media. But rather than letting the customers share it on their own social media, Tesla takes those videos and shares them on its own website, owned media. This is another form of shared media. Burberry has asked their customers to share their love for the trench coat by asking them to share pictures of themselves with the coat, earned media, but they share it on the brand's Facebook page, owned media. There's a similar example with a t-shirt company called QWERTY, where they have tried to create earned media with a contest that is asking their customers to wear the company's t-shirt and post it on the social media of the company. Hashtag created by a brand can also be considered as a form of owned media. The brand Under Armour came up with a hashtag, I will what I want, to motivate athletes to achieve their dreams. But the campaign really took off on Facebook when supermodel Gisele Bündchen shared her own image with the hashtag, and that got over 80,000 likes. Since then, a lot of athletes have also used the hashtag to show their power, and the hashtag has served as a great promotion for Under Armour's newest range of products. So in this category, brands that ask for shares, it's all about using the power of earned media, customers sharing their love of your product, but control it by posting those posts on your own media channels, like your Facebook page or your own website. For example, here the company saw a picture of a customer with a brand, earned media, and then has asked the customer if they could share it with their fans on their own media channel. This is also another very good example that fits into this category. The second category is called promoted brand content. It tends to be the section that commonly confuses people. You're trying to create interesting content on your own media channels, but then you're trying to use paid media to reach a bigger audience. For example, Four Seasons magazine has created an interesting post about art, which is hosted on their own blog, owned media again. The company thinks that this is an interesting piece of content that can create some inspiration for people to travel. But the numbers of views on the article are quite limited. So what they can do is to use some form of paid media in the form of a banner advertising here, for example, on other websites to create awareness and hopefully traffic to their content. We understand that Four Seasons is not using advertising to sell rooms, but it is using advertising to get more people to consume their owned media. Promoted brand content can also exist on Facebook. It is maybe the best platform for this type of content. It is where a company has created some interesting content on their own media channels and shares it on Facebook. Or maybe the content has been created directly on Facebook, still a known media channel. And then the company is using Facebook's advertising feature, Boost Posts here specifically, to make the content be seen by more people. And like this, you get a bigger reach. And this is a perfect example of promoted brand content, because it starts as a piece of owned media, but then you pay to make sure that the content you worked so hard to create will be seen by more people. So in this example, we can see that the company is trying very hard to promote their product with a sales message. Buy one, get one free. This would be considered only as paid media. It cannot be considered as part of this promoted brand content category, because again, it tries only to focus on selling the product. It is not trying to promote the content created by the company. The final combined converged category is called sponsored customer. As we've already seen, earned media is the most powerful type of media there is. So this is where you are using the power of earned media, but you are paying to get it. This is what companies are doing in this category. The most typical form of sponsored customer is when a company is paying for an influencer to talk about their brand on their own social media channel. For example, here, a famous influencer is talking about the virtues of vitamins that are actually good for her hair, apparently. And this is shared on her own Instagram, talking to her followers. The type of pictures we see, the tone in which she's talking, and everything about the post makes it sound like a genuine recommendation from the star. But she has obviously been paid or sponsored by the brand to create that post. And the more famous the influencer, the more the brand has to pay. A well-known influencer like Kylie Jenner takes around £300,000 per post. Now, this is an issue as a lot of younger consumers do not tend to make the difference between a genuine recommendation and a recommendation for which the influencer has been paid. In the US now, it is part of the law that an influencer must state whenever he or she has been paid to promote the product. This can be done in different ways, with a disclaimer, or it can also be done with a hashtag like the hashtag ad or hashtag advertising. Instagram has implemented a feature now where it shows on top under the influencer's name whenever this is a paid promotion. But this is still a very powerful way of reaching a lot of consumers and therefore creating some form of stimulus. So again, as we have discussed when talking about earned media and influencers, you do not need to work all the time with superstars. They are expensive. But you can also be working with online micro-influencers who have a large following. For example, here this travel blogger, who has a very interesting and artistic visual flair in all his Instagram posts, has over 4.5 million followers. And for a hotel, this is an ideal way of cooperating. Depending on how large their following are, there might be a fee to pay. But this would be a cheaper way to reach your target audience than superstars or traditional advertising. And again, people following this blogger are more likely to pay attention to the post and therefore to your property. Now, you do not always need to pay cash to fit in this category. You can also find some micro-influencers and give them sample of your product to try and to test out. Then the influencers will be talking about the product on their YouTube channel, for example, without getting paid at first. This is something that has happened a lot with cosmetic brands who are using YouTube influencers to talk about their own product. This is something that you could also do as a hotelier, inviting new travel bloggers who are trying to create a name by themselves. And maybe the only way that you will pay them is with a room night and maybe the travel fees. But again, this would only happen if the micro-influencer is just starting. Once they start to have a larger following, they for sure will require for some form of payment. And finally, you can also create a campaign where you are able to use the 3 different types of media together. When you are able to use earned, paid, and owned media together at the same time, we say that you are using converged media. This is one of the best examples that I have found in hospitality and tourism. Swiss airline company created a contest where they asked Swiss people to create a short video, earned media, to show to visitors great places that they can visit in Switzerland. The contest was hosted on the company's website, owned media, and the videos were also hosted there. In order to make sure that people knew about the contest, the company used Facebook advertising, paid media, to promote the contest. And then, when the contestants created their videos, they would ask for their friends to vote on Facebook, creating another form of earned media. And as a good practice, out of this model, we can see that the company also answered back to the fans and to the followers who wrote about the contest. We could argue that this creates and encourages even more earned media. But we'll talk about this a little bit later. You have now hopefully a much better understanding of how converged media is working. This is very important to understand because when working on your digital marketing campaign, you will be using all those different types of media together in order to achieve the aim and objective of your campaign. This is the main reference that I have been using to talk about converged media, and this is the report that has been given names to the different types of converged media. I highly encourage you to read it for a better understanding of the content.